Rebel Wilson has started an interesting conversation about acting, and I have some thoughts. Hey guys, Mike here, welcome back to my channel. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, and comment at the end. Let's get into it. So recently I noticed that Rebel Wilson was in the headlines again. Of course, she was in the headlines recently because her book was pulled from Australian shelves at the last minute due to a defamation kind of case with Sacha Baron Cohen. If you didn't hear about this, she basically made some allegations that he's a bit of a bad person in her memoir, and he was like, nah, you can't publish that, and I guess that worked. But I'm actually more curious about what she's had to say recently about acting and what acting actually is. And I think it leans into a further discussion philosophically about all of this stuff involving acting, political correctness, and, you know, what you can and can't do both in comedy and the acting world. This is a headline from Variety, which says, Rebel Wilson says the idea that only gay actors can portray gay characters is total nonsense. You should be able to play any role you want. Now, already I'm kind of surprised at Rebel's take on this. I just would have thought that she'd think the opposite. She does seem to be pretty progressive, and these kind of ideas seem to be more on that side of the political spectrum. But it's interesting to have this take from her as an actor and a comedian and what she thinks about all of this, because it is an increasingly controversial thing. I always think in comedy, your job is to always flirt with that line of what's acceptable. Sometimes you do step over it, but at the end of the day, you are trying to entertain people. And I think there's two really interesting cases that come to mind when I read what she's saying here. A good example of a straight actor playing a gay character in kind of modern television is Eric Stonestreet, who played Cam Tucker in Modern Family.
I'm breaking the window!
Emergency assistance, this is Trina.
Help, we lost our baby in the car and people are judging us.
I swear to God, I'm gonna break it!
Now, I'm going to be upfront and say that Cam is one of my favorite sitcom characters of all time, and I genuinely mean that. He's up there with like Kramer and Marshall from How I Met Your Mother, and even Chandler from Friends. I love Cam.
Oh my God.
What? You see her?
No. But I see myself in the role I was born to play.
Stella!
And I can't picture anyone except Eric Stonestreet playing Cam. He's just such an iconic character, and he plays the flamboyant, stereotypical gay guy so well. Not to mention, Eric Stonestreet has won Emmys for his role as Cam, and at the time the show was airing, there really wasn't any issue with this. It was perfectly fine. And he was also working with Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who played his husband Mitch, who is gay in real life. And I guess the argument against this is that being someone who isn't gay, he can't accurately portray the gay experience or what it is to be gay, and thus should not be in these roles. And the other argument, which I guess is more prominent in like modern discourse, is this idea that by taking that role as a straight person, he's actually taking that role away from a gay actor. And as a straight white male, he is more likely to have more roles made for people like him, so he shouldn't be taking these other roles. And to be honest, I find this kind of hard because, like I said, I wouldn't want to see anyone other than Eric Stonestreet playing this role. And I gotta say, I don't actually think it is such a big deal. Feel free to play the straight white man card here on me. I understand there is privilege involved in who I am, but we don't have to say that all the time. As Rebel Wilson said in this interview, you should be able to play whatever role you want. And I actually wonder what the result will be if we stop people from being able to play roles that they aren't. I mean, is that not literally what acting is? It's becoming someone you are fundamentally not. It's playing someone other than yourself. Unless you're Adam Sandler, who does generally play the same character in literally every movie.
That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Another really good example of this was recently with the movie The Whale. Brendan Fraser plays an obese man, but in real life he isn't someone of that size. I saw similar commentary on this discrepancy when that movie came out, particularly people saying the movie was fat phobic, which I think was pretty ridiculous. I think if you did describe that movie as fat phobic, you fundamentally missed the point of the movie, but that's another video. But there are also two things here. One, Brendan Fraser did that role so well, and two, is there a plus size actor of that size who can actually be on set every day? Because there are health issues with being morbidly obese that would prevent you from being able to be on a set and moving around and doing all the things that Brendan Fraser had to do in that film.
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
So in that sense, it becomes more of like a practicality thing than anything else. From there, we can look at Australian comedian Chris Lilley, who notoriously dresses up as various different characters. For example, he's portrayed a teenage girl in his character Jemay, a gay drama teacher in Mr. G, and probably most controversially, well, definitely most controversially, is the characters in which he race swaps, particularly characters like Smouse, the African-American rapper.
S. Mouse. It's a revolutionary name, you know why? Because it got punctuation in the middle of it.
In which Chris Lilley donned blackface, and Jonah, the Tongan schoolboy, in which Chris Lilley dons brownface.
Don't you even know what punked is? Why don't you watch MTV for once?
Both of these characters were considered particularly offensive and have caused a lot of outrage in Australia and around the world. But I gotta say, one thing I've always really liked about Chris Lilley is his ability to literally just disappear into another character.
Seriously, I'm trying to make a joke. I'm trying to bring a sense of humour to the group.
I've always been a big fan of his work, and while I can acknowledge some of the cultural insensitivities of him portraying characters of different races, I do think it's interesting to see how people respond to these. For example, Smouse is definitely his most controversial character of all time, but in the same series, Angry Boys, he also portrayed Jen Okazaki, an abusive Japanese mother who exploits her own son. Again, donning yellow face and putting on a Japanese accent. I actually think it's one of his funniest characters of all time. So why the outrage for Smouse, but not the same level for something like Jen Okazaki?
I'm his mother and manager. So if I don't know, then no one does.
Again, I don't know where the line is for this, and I'm trying to figure it out myself. I don't pretend to know the answers, but I gotta say that somewhere between Eric Stonestreet playing Cam Tucker and Chris Lilley playing Smouse is the answer, because I don't think Chris Lilley should play Smouse again, but obviously at the time and the cultural landscape of Australia, it was considered okay. So I think Rebel Wilson's interview has sparked this really interesting discussion in my head, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Comment below, what do you think is okay and what's not? Again, there's no correct answer here. Everyone has different opinions and different thoughts, and I think the only way we can find any semblance of an answer is by discussing it together and having conversations that we might not want to have. But at the end of the day, for this one, I'm leaning towards agreeing pretty strongly with what Rebel Wilson has to say here. Acting is that. And if you remove that from acting, I don't know what acting actually is anymore. Does that make sense? Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. As I said, I'm Radio Mike. I do pop culture commentary, and it all happens on my channel. Subscribe, thumbs up, comment below, as I said, and as well as that, you can join my Patreon. Thank you to all my Patreon subscribers so far. And you can also listen to my podcast, which is either here or here. I never know where it's going to be when I get onto the computer and edit this. As well as that, yeah, subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. If you like this video, I think you'll like a bunch of my other videos, and there's tons of videos on my channel for you to binge right now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. My name is Ready Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind, and I'll see you in another video.